ghost follow you. Unfortunately. Because when it goes dead, it goes dead.
So we'll be going live here on the stream in just a minute. Mondravis is in Discord with me. And I think we should be resolving some issues with regard to Discord audio and that kind of thing. So I think you guys should be able to hear everybody a little more clearly. Hear some music when I actually decide to turn that up as well. So I think I've got some of those issues figured out. We're going to be taking a look at the second hour of brand new player play. When I logged out, Alyssa was standing in the middle of the Battle of Solace Bridge. She had been played for exactly an hour, and that is where we are going to pick her up. So let's get into the game screen. I'll go ahead and finish logging in. The joy of the loading screen. I would approve of the developers coming up with some better way to cache, or some way to, I would gladly give up more hard drive space, I guess, for them to cache additional information on my drive, if that would let me get through load screens faster. So it seems to have set me back at the entrance to Solace Bridge, even though I was standing very much in the middle of town. Charlotte Gray is still following me, though, so we're still good in that sense. We're just going to act like we know what we're doing, and we're going to stop and recollect from these corpses if they've respawned their goodies, and they have. Now, one of the things I wanted to take a look at here, and I don't want to forget to do it, I do have 3 decks originally, a range deck, a blades deck, and a magic deck that are created here. I seem to have the ranged deck equipped, and I want to see if I can immediately add, and I believe that I can, something super simple like Flame Fist, and start working on some of those fire skills that I think I'm going to build later as early as possible. Mondravis, are you still with us? Am I still?
I am with us.
All right. Just wanted to make sure I was still copying you and that I hadn't done anything crazy with the sound that was had killed Discord when I got everything else working. corpse is carrying a lot of arrows for a corpse. And I know they're doing that because I'm
Yeah,
in a newbie zone, so I appreciate that.
yeah, that's that one that carries 500 every time.
Yep.
I honestly think you can keep going. You can go back to that zone. So I almost wonder if you can keep going back to that zone, leave, come back, and just keep collecting.
I, I'm going to have to consider that strongly as time moves forward. I think that might be a very effective way to collect arrows in the future. Although arrows are so
I mean,
incredibly cheap. But still,
they are, but I mean, a penny here, a penny there.
I'm telling you, a penny saved is a penny earned, as the expression goes. And I do want to make sure I loot everything here because they seem to have the starter zone loot set inordinately high.
Just to get everyone started.
Yes, sir. And I don't want to deny myself that benefit.
No, and people need to know that in the beginning areas there is a lot like trees and stuff spawn faster and stuff like that. So when they get started, they can just hang around that area for as long as they need, or the entire length of the game, whatever they choose.
At least be able to get a good starting position instead of, I mean, the grind, it can be grindy enough as it is. You don't have to make more grind than you have to. Anybody who happens to drop in or who happens to pick up the stream later, because that seems to happen to me a little more frequently. I know my bandwidth is not super spectacular for making the stream a ton of fun to watch live. However, I do seem to pick up, a short stack of views, 20, 30, 40 views usually over the next 10 or 12 hours. And so if you happen to be one of those people, stop in and take a look later. If you have the time or the inclination, I'd appreciate you throwing me a follow. I take a look at that list and do return that favor. I throw follows back at people. The automaton. I am not confident you can survive the threats beyond this gate. For me to remove the magical barrier that blocks access of the bridge, I require these things from you. Choose a skill to learn, then drag its icon to your combat hotbar. Inform me when you are ready to trade. Choose a skill. Drag it to my combat hotbar. The challenge is that from my ranged tree, I have not yet trained anything. But yes, I will pay 0 gold to learn aimed shot. And I will pay, do I have 100 gold? I do.
Should.
I'm just realizing I've got the same account balance. So yes, I will
I think you start with 100 or 200 or something like that.
Yes, and when you start a character who is not starting on a truly new account, you have the same balance that all your other characters have. So I have a pile of money. Not an issue for her to pay for skills. And let me see. I've told him I wanted to train, but let me do as I said I would do and drag that skill down to the bar. And because I have done that, he has opened the gate for me. And we're able to move on to the bridge part of the Battle of Solace Bridge. I think somebody's going to be right outside here in a little bit. Currently, there's nobody there. I seem to recall there being a trader that's going to appear there later.
Yeah, after I played my big guy for as long as I did, it was actually really fun to be able to start over with a whole new tune without any help and everything else and actually build myself.
Yes, I have a free account set aside with a character who's about 5 minutes old that I'm thinking to do that with. It's a completely separate account, so I can kind of gauge the ability to make money and all of that. I may stream some of that process too, I suppose, and show how the acquisition, of wealth can be managed and things to sell early in the game and things to keep and all that. Because sometimes that can be a fine balance if you don't have the support of a group. But so let me be clear about that. One of the first things that I would suggest to any new player is find a group of like-minded players and that you enjoy the company of, and add a lot of fun to the MMORPG experience. If you're playing a massively multiplayer online role-playing game and you're not playing with other players, and you're not, at least, for the own, backstory in the back of your mind, doing a little bit of role-playing, you're kind of missing out on a lot of what's going on in the game. For the sake of arguments, the Keepers group has a crew out at Baron's Reach who, to the extent it's not a crazy role-playing group that does online weddings and dance parties and that kind of stuff. But, think of themselves as pirates and so have a kind of piratey theme going on, and that's kind of part of the backstory of the players and the families that are associated with that branch of the Keepers. When role-playing is part of the title of the kind of game you're playing, you might engage in a little bit just for fun.
One of these days, I'm actually going to have to go down to Tartarus to see if I can do it. The actual maze at the bottom.
Yeah, I have no doubt that as far as working the maze is concerned, you're ready to go. With regard to actually triggering the instance, that would be interesting to see, because those things come out hot and heavy down there, man.
On my tamer, maybe, but on this bard guy, I don't know, man. Things hit awful hard.
Yeah, and fast, and there's just a bunch of them. Of course, a nice stacked atonal aria, properly augmented, and, you're getting healed at a good rate, makes a lot possible. All right, so we're down. We fought our way across the bridge. We're at Edvard the Wanderer, and I'm going to have a conversation with Edward and see what he says.
For anyone tuning in, there's several people out there that are crafters and stuff like that. It's always good to make friends with the crafters all over, not just one, but as many as you can. Because sometimes they can make wills and deals with you, trading artifacts or trading resources for services to get you better gear without you actually having to collect the gold or actually get the materials and make it yourself.
So this is one of the points that, people have made to me, and I try to share early. You sell what you need to for gold when you need to get gold, but as much as possible, anything that is a stackable resource, you should save, because that's going to be used to craft something later. Maybe not for yourself, but you know what Mondravis is saying about being able to trade with other players, to have something to trade with other players. One of the very first contacts that I made inside the guild, I was already a member of Night's Watch, but that I made with Kaizen inside the guild was a couple of years ago. I had a short stack of beetles that I didn't know what to do with, or need to do anything with, and he was crafting Carapacian armor, and so beetles were valuable to him. I traded him a stack of beetles for him to do some crafting for me on a couple of pieces of equipment that I am still wearing to this day. I've still got a bronze helmet that he made for me that I am wearing to this day. And so you can establish relationships that are truly long-lasting. You can be of value to other players. They will remember that and be of value to you later. So definitely collect up that stuff and keep an ear open for, people looking for it.
Another thing you can do is people have player-made vendors or player vendors, and a lot of times they'll put buy orders on those for those resources. and pay a ton more than what a regular vendor would pay.
Especially true of crafting stuff. So wander through the crafting towns just south of Britain. There's a little string of towns that are particularly populated with vendors of various kinds, and you'll see some that are named by order or words to that effect. And check on those, and you can generally sell things for a good bit more than you will sell them to an in-game, combat vendor or cooking merchant or whoever. So I guess picked up 40,000 experience points for dragging the kid across the bridge, which was a relatively simple process. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to him through. Usually when I'm having these conversations, I kind of click my way through every option and go back and maybe read it if I feel like I need to. But the journal is going to store everything that you need that's really important from these things. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to Edward. It's still at the point where it's giving me the super obvious hints. So the boat is flashing blue to tell me to take the boat. In the future, it will expect you to figure out that kind of stuff without making everything flash and glow and glimmer and gleam at you. But early in the game, they're trying to get you thinking right. So I'm headed for Solace Bridge outskirts now from the Battle of Solace Bridge. I've discovered a point of interest. And other people are coming in to the world because this is a place where new players kind of join from a private instance, I think, into a open. So
It's definitely a forced open too.
okay, so everybody's open in this zone. Something else that I mentioned, in the first hour of streaming new character, but then to keep in mind, you have control over who you're running that instance with, and so if you find that you feel like there's not a lot of other people playing the game, or that you're always, by yourself every place you go, you feel like in the old days of Ultima Online you saw people around and that kind of thing. Well, do check your status under options up here. If you go to multiplayer, you want to make sure that your settings are open if you want to interact with as many people as possible. That also guarantees the largest number of experience points. If you're looking for a more isolated environment where nobody's going to step on your toes, then party or private, can be appropriate depending on what kind of mood you're in or how you want to play. But certainly if you run all the time in private, you don't earn the right to complain that there's nobody else in the game with you. So I should have some people that I avoid. I talked to someone I should have talked to back here. I've got the blue sparkle on someone behind me. Let me hop back and get a chat. I have received a leather helm from Private Garrett. Ah, yes, my introduction to Captain Kinsey. So I'll run through this.
Didn't even know that you got a leather helm.
Yes, the guard gives you a leather helm of some kind. I'm gonna put it on just to...
Leather helm of newbie junk?
Yep. Goodbye. And pop the old inventory and look for... Here's the leather helm of newbie junk. On. Protect my head from the weather, as he advised. I'm sticking with the bow for her default weapon. Ataz was talking about why that is the most frequently used single skill in the game, week after week, year after year. The automatic shot from the bow, I think, ranked the number one done action by players in the game.
May have to do with that's what they start you with, so everyone runs with that for quite a while.
Yep, and his the other half of that explanation was it's easy. It just does not require a lot of effort to start hitting something when it's as soon as it targets you, you start doing the damage. It's done easily. And then he did bring up the idea that for the longest time it's you know everybody does it, man. Come on, be like the rest of us. We all do it.
Are you going to farm out the cloth virtue gear?
I'm not sure. I may.
'Cause that's a really cool starter set. I mean, it's not as good as crafted gear by any stretch of a mile,
Was
but
that
I
that?
mean,
Is
for a
that that first
newbie,
set that you went and got?
yeah, I got the courage. You would need what's it's love is the leather one. Can't remember what the cloth one is.
So I think the leather one is the one that I'm going to want. Well, I don't know if she's going to do fire and bard. Do I want to do that in leather or do I want to do that in cloth?
It's a good question. I do
Um,
that in I do it in cloth because that's what I'm gonna do. Cloth. I've got a cloth set getting made by Coswald. Speaking of trading and resources and artifacts, that's how I'm getting a $1 million armor set made,
yep.
or $1 million gold armor set made.
By having the right stack of gold, silver, other resources, just things that are needed for trade. Um,
Artifacts.
yep. Things that somebody else wants to stack up and empower. So all kinds of options. All right, so I'm here in the newbie campsite. There's handful of people here. There's some refugees here. Practice dummies in order to whale on and gain skill if you don't have any place else to go. There are smithing stations and smelting stations here. There's cooking stations and butchering stations here. So you can do a lot of the kind of startup stuff that you would need to do. Here's the tailoring and weaving. Again, it's just a zone where things spawn quick and you have a lot of options to get things done. I'm going to go talk with Captain Kinsey and advance the quest line. Well met.
There is an alchemy station there.
There is somewhere. I haven't stared at the alchemy station
It's
yet.
it's way over on the other side of that where all the graveyards at and everything.
Okay, I'll take a long walk around and see if we can find it. I should talk to Corporal Eloise about heirlooms. So I'm gonna.
I think there's even a quest over, or he has a quest too. That alchemist that's over there.
Okay. So I'm just clicking through the conversation. I'm not really reading the conversations right now. I'm just picking up whatever I'm going to pick up in the journal. So anything that's not lit gets clicked on until everything's gray. And then I say goodbye. Who else wants to be spoken to here? Uh-huh. The soldier seems to want to have a conversation. Ah, this is Eloise. Oh, cousin named Eloise. Our parents are yes, worried about Preston. He could use a friend. running through, asking about the zombies. They're telling me about the Kabbalists. All right, everything's gray, and I'm saying goodbye. Who else wants to be spoken to here? Oh, that's the... Oh, let me see if there's anything else she seems to want to say to me. No, I guess she's going to be the person I talk to after I do something here in a minute, so she's lit up again. Now there are several people in town to whom I can speak. I've got a crafting trainer here, so I'm going to go ahead and check on any crafting skills that I might need or be able to buy. I think at this point I've got nothing, so there's one. I can buy fishing. I can buy agriculture. Alright, and that takes care of the crafting trainer. Here's the adventuring trainer. See if there's anything on the adventuring tree. Indeed. So let's just work down the skill tree here. Me thinking about this reasonably. I don't necessarily or need to buy everything, right? So for her, I think her primary weapon type is going to be range. So I can see my way straight to buying out the range skills. Her toe-to-toe weapon, I'm thinking... I don't know, I've played a number of the bludgeon tree. I understand the speed damage tree, however, is swords, right?
Yeah,
The
sort of.
fastest way to do, like the, you know...
I mean, that's gonna be it's gonna do the most damage melee wise, just due to the rend is so high damage.
So I'm gonna try her as a blades girl for the non-ranged portion of her combat. I don't know if either of these is going to be a spec. I just know that I'm going to want to build out the sword and the ranged tree, probably at the sacrifice of others. So when it comes to magic, I know she wants to do fire, and I'm going to have to do a lot of work there and get to Solace before I've got anything meaningful to contribute to the fire tree. Who else do I want to see here in the campsite? Let me talk to the noble lord and lady, because I think they've got a quest tree, don't they?
Yeah. Something about a painting, I think, is
yes,
one
sir.
of them.
You got it. That is what I'm thinking. I'm just going through the conversation, the undead, their daughter, the bandit. Oh, the painting, indeed. Better talk to his wife as well. And, you know, if you're one of those people who likes to read through the conversations in detail and understand every element of the storyline and the nuance, I'm going to encourage you to, you know, take that time and do that yourself. I think if you're watching someone kind of do introduction to game streams, if I take that much time and read every line and dig into everything, people are going to want to come through the fiber and choke me to death. So I'm going to try to just, click on everything that lights up until everything's gray and then say goodbye. Use the journal primarily to keep up with the tasks that I'm supposed to do, as opposed to take a bunch of notes myself. Now, in the early play of this game, in the early years of development, there were a lot of bugs and glitches and issues with the quests. Resetting, not registering accomplishments, having to be reset manually in order to get them to clear and having to run them more than once in order to get them to trigger properly. That's a little less of an issue now. Mondravis, do you have any that are still buggy and hang?
I think for the most part they've cleared out all the newbie quests,
Good,
even all the way to the Verge or the Shroud of the Avatar quest.
good, good. I know those are the kind of things that they have been trying to fine tune. You know, there's been any new players who are coming and just watching the stream and have never glanced at Shroud of the Avatar before. You're going to come across a fair body of complainers and people who really do not have a lot good to say about the game. To be honest, a lot of that is based on some of the early development costs. People spent a lot of real money early on. Not all of the things that were promised in early development have come to fruition over the long haul. And so a lot of people who invested, significant real money have a really bitter taste in their mouth about the game and don't have a lot good to say about it now, whether it's, playable or not. So I do try to take that kind of harsh criticism with a grain of salt. There's still valid criticisms. I try to take those from people who are at least actively engaged in play. I consider those more valid than people who have just spent a couple of years bad mouthing it because they don't like what happened years ago. So, for what that's worth. See if I can get away with harvesting
That
this
and there's people
maple.
that haven't played this game since God knows when, thinking the game hadn't changed.
Right.
So when people go, should I play this game? They're all over the forums going, no, don't play that game. That game sucks. Blah blah blah. And it's like you haven't even played the game since when?
There have been a lot of changes and adjustments, and they're still taking place. And to the credit of, even though it's a small development team, to the credit of where they are now, he said they've kind of reprioritized to fixing things that they know are not working, completing some of the systems that they put in place, halfway, saying we'd like to do this eventually, or we'd like to do that eventually. So taking a bunch of items, for instance, in the game that previously had no use, and putting them into recipes, adding them into crafting options, coming up with things to actually do with them. And so, I definitely approve of that bent. And then, he said they're just going to kind of try to move back and forth in cycles between, adding some new features and troubleshooting and getting features that have been added but not completely, fully, perfectly implemented, getting those things done right. Can't blame them for that.
That's another thing. When they first made this game, they were trying to make a hardcore game, and they're switching it from a hardcore core play style to a more appealing to everybody play style.
And I think they're likely to hit a good balance because of that. I described this game to people. They would ask me what the play style was like, and I would say, well, it's definitely not a pure run and gun type RPG adventure game. Right? There's a lot of detail here for a player. There's a lot of crafting detail. I mean, the recipes have as many ingredients as an actual recipe when you're going to cook something. So there's definitely a level of detail that remains hardcore to an extent, but they are working to mitigate that so that it feels less grindy. So it just feels like more detail in the game, and it doesn't feel like as burdensome as it may have in the past.
You know, I wish they'd do a bunch of batch crafting like they do with the scrolls for like ingots.
Currently,
Because
the
there's things
thing,
where
yeah, the crafting thing that bothers me most is the durability on tools. Because if you're not going to do the
oh, yeah.
prosperity thing, you're going to be buying tools. It's just, you can't. The idea that when you use a mortar and pestle, you can only use a mortar and pestle 100 times before you have to buy a new mortar and pestle. Or a
Them
cook.
mortar and pestles from, you know, thousands of years ago.
Right. Cooking pots. Good God. I can dig up a Stone Age cooking vessel today. But if I cook 100 pots of soup, I gotta go buy a new cooking pot. So again,
Yeah.
love the game. Don't mean to be overly critical. There are things, just quality of life issues that you'd like to see changed. But I bought in 2014 and I'm still playing, so that just tells you kind of what kind of sucker I am.
I'm gonna be a kissing it.
So we are running the Solace Bridge outskirts, if anybody happens to pick this up a little later. And I'm in my second hour of play with a brand new character. My current task is to recover Liliana's painting, and my understanding is one of these thugs out here somewhere has it. So I'm out here killing thugs and trying to take thug loot. I'm experiencing a little bit of a hang. Let's see what happens. There we go. Got it. And my fish in the background is going a little on the aggressive side of aggressive. I've got a big Oscar who will occasionally take a bite at a tank mate if she's in a mood. Maybe, does that up here actually go anywhere? Let's just do our thing for a little while, collect up what we can, see what we can get, build some basic skills and that kind of thing. Get our legs under us as a new player. I can't seem to recall exactly whether there's anything out here or whether it's just a oh, pardon me, whether it's just a platform. I'll take a look at the compass here in a minute. I should be doing the smart thing and following my compass headers and that kind of thing, but for new player play, it's fun to just play. Once again, if you're dropping in or if you drop in later, throw a follow if you are interested in seeing more new player play or more Shroud of the Avatar in general. I don't only stream the newbie, I do stream my the rest of the family, the Hayden and Suzanne Ruvail characters, and they're up to less newbie stuff, although still not end-game-ish players. But if you follow, I'm going to follow you back. I'll take a look at that and make sure I do that. One aim shot. Let me give him a fire fist. Why not while I'm at it? Others running the quest line. scout. Corporal Roslin, need your help. Okay. So let's go find Quentin. Come back and tell Roslin how he's doing. Got it. Go ahead and harvest this cotton. She's new. She should pocket every resource she passes for the time being. Generally a good idea. Notice I gained experience even from failing at collecting the thing, so it's worth collecting even if you fail. Got it the second time. All right, so let's take a look at this compass. What have I got here? Search here for the painting. Recover Liliana's painting. So let's see if I can find that place to search and go search there for that painting. Get that part of it taken care of anyway. So this is where I should be looking for a painting. Let me check my inventory and see if in the quick haul through here I happen to have picked up a painting. I've got Quincy's Broken Sword. I've got a Solace Bridge Outskirts heirloom already. That's something that somebody is looking for because it's showing up as a quest item. I don't seem to have the painting of Liliana yet. So let's just keep looking around here and hunting bandits and seeing what we find. I'm guessing because of the way the search is going, it's going to be one of the bandits that spawns right in this area that is going to have that painting. But I'm inclined to wander around a little bit in the area just to see. So let's take a swim. Because now that I see that hut, I feel like maybe I got that painting over here somewhere. So we'll just take a little swim across here. Just minding our own business, Mr. Bandit. Well, what's this? A painting of a young woman. I think I'll take that painting of a young woman. I suspect that may be my painting of Liliana. And all of these things are takeable as well. I can't say that I think I'm going... I don't know what I can do with all this stuff. I'm taking it all to see what I can sell. I don't need the money, but I think anybody else might be interested in what sells and what doesn't. And I guess since these guys are bandits, you can't really steal from them. Can't take that. Turn it off and on, though. Is there anything in the chest?
I am back.
Couple of metal scraps. Welcome back. I'm just looting the bandit joint that had the painting of Liliana in it.
Right.
And I think I'm going to put some... You put flowers in this thing, don't you? The pay your respects.
Yes, the
gravestone outside.
over in the pot.
Yep. Ah, and under the loose stone is the outskirt fence key.
You can also kill that guy and get the key.
Oh, the outskirts fence has one, huh? So do you sell the heirloom to the fence, or do you take it back and sell it to someone in town at the camp?
You could do both. It's a high. It's one of those virtue things or whatever they call them. So if you give it or if you sell it to him, you lose your truth, love, whatever. But it's such a small increment, and right now at the beginning, it's whatever's easiest.
Gotcha. In which case, he's right here, but I'm going to go ahead and sell it back in town, back in camp, just because, camp is close too. Who cares? So at this point, I've got a couple of things to knock out. I think I have entered the shack, use the key on the door's lock, then double click the door itself. Okay, I think this
Yeah, the
shack
door's
was
always open
already,
now.
yeah, the shack was already unlocked. So that was not a necessary part of this. If you notice, though, I'm going to come in and take a look at it. The lock plate was glowing blue for a minute until I stepped inside the room, and then it stopped glowing. Like the rest of the newbie hints, they actually flash blue at you to show you what to do. Eventually, they expect you to be able to figure out what to click on without making it flash blue at you.
Although a lot of those quests now are lighting up on the mini map or on the map too when you bring it up.
Cool.
Even when you get higher up, it'll like what towns or whatever you got a quest in. It'll light those towns up. You can mouse over it and it'll tell you what quests.
Well, I am encumbered, so I'm going to go back to the campsite, take care of what little business I've got to conduct there, and then we'll go on to whatever we need to do next. So give painting to proper owner is on my list. I happen to know who that is, so we'll go have that conversation next.
Have you ever talked to that scoundrel out there about the painting?
It seems like I have. The one who tells you that he was truly in love with her and that he painted it and wants to keep it as a keepsake, and that story?
Yeah, and he turns around and talks about how the parents were actually really mean to the daughter and all this other stuff.
Yep, yep. And his telling of the story, he's the hero and they're the villains.
Right.
But he's the one who's living out in the woods as a bandit, so...
Exactly. It's one of those things you got to kind of discern with whether someone's good or bad on your own.
Right. They're the noble Lord and Lady Langston. I've got to believe that they're on the better end of that crew.
You would think.
So there's your painting, sir. 250 gold, 16,000 experience points. Now, I can't go get that painting over and over again, can I? It's the heirloom that you can do over and over again.
As far as I'm aware, that's the only one that I know of that's a repeatable like that.
Okay.
If there was more in the game, I'd really like to know.
So I'll go back and see if I come across that painting again just for fun. Now, who was I supposed to give that stupid heirloom to? Was that Corporal Eloise?
I think so. It's that one that gave you the hat.
Yeah,
I think.
Indeed, she seems to be interested in it. Indeed. 16,000 experience points and another 250 gold. So every time I'm out in the woods, I should look for an heirloom and come back and see her about that, huh?
Oh yeah.
Roger that.
But, or you can, talk to the guy out there. I always go to him because he's closer. Because there's bandits all around him and everything else.
Okay, so the fence will buy the heirlooms as well as the... I thought he wanted to buy the painting, but I hear you. I remember him. He was asking for the heirloom too. Oh, I am still encumbered. So let me take a look at what's causing me the weight issue. I did chop a little wood. I mined a little granite. So Is there a banker here in the camp?
There is not, and that's one thing I wish they would put out there. But then again, at
Okay.
that low level, your bank only holds like 50 items before you buy anything.
All right, but it's 50 items more than I can carry.
Yeah.
So let me see what I've got on me right now. My weight is 89.7 out of 85. Oh, and I'm confident that most of what I'm carrying is crud that I can sell to this crafting supply merchant. Most of it's probably whiskey, potatoes, bottles I just took out of that cabin. So
Yeah,
let's go
probably
to
some
sell from inventory and
shot,
just
shabby bows and stuff like that.
bandit dagger +2.
Tell you what, that dagger right there for a newbie is a really nice starter weapon.
I won't sell it then.
So they've got a bunch of like bandit blades. They've got elven bows, stuff like that. That's in the game that has natural stats on it that are higher than the regular trash stats. And for if you can't, afford crafted gear, it's actually really good.
For right now, and because she's got access to the awesome resources of the Rouvail family, I am not going to worry about her saving or collecting everything she's coming across. She is just selling that stuff whole cloth right now. When it's time for her to work on crafting skills, we've got crafting materials for her to use. So she's selling all this extra
Granted,
crap off for a couple of hundred gold pieces.
you're probably not going to even want to work on crafting on that since you already got a tune that's got a lot higher skill.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know that she's going to spend much time doing that kind of stuff. Collecting resources she walks past to throw in the bin, that seems foolish to walk past, but to actually spend the time crafting with her when I've got two other characters who are already crafting at various higher levels, not necessary.
Because it's like Mondravis is the only one that I have that actually has any kind of crafting skill. All the rest of them, there's no point.
Okay, next, learn the fate of Private Quentin. So I'm off to look for Quentin. I want to give another thanks to anybody who happens to come by and watch the stream later. These are being archived on YouTube over the long haul. I'm not doing anything in Twitch to create clips that will be persistent right now. So my Twitch stream is going to, kind of backlog the default 2 weeks of videos that it will store. But I'm multicasting to YouTube simultaneously. So that's going to be the longer term archive of these things. I don't think anybody is watching on YouTube, but it does make a good place to just automatically dump the videos so that Twitch doesn't have to do that kind of long-term massive storage. YouTube can do what it's designed to do. And then if I want to, make a clip out of anything, I can go there and get it later. Until I figure out what's going on with Twitch and clips and, what I should be doing in order to pick highlights and that kind of thing. So where is Preston? He's going to be lurking around here somewhere. Is that him? No, that's a bandit archer. Hey, was that another heirloom? It was. Where was it saying? Well, I seem to have a few different places that I can go searching for Quentin. Investigate the source of blood and learning the fate of Private Quentin are the next two things on my list. But I'm coming up right
He's
on.
always by that card on the road.
Yep, and I'm here at the card on the road now, so I'm gonna find him. But I am coming up on the close of hour 2 of new characterism, and so I'm going to park myself over here. We are going to wrap up the second hour of brand new character play. I'm going to, pardon me. I'm going to want to thank y'all for watching. Come back a little later. We're going to play another hour of this new character and see what life has in store for brand new Shroud of the Avatar tunes. These coming with particularly good advice from much more experienced players. So, looking forward to seeing everybody soon.